What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So I will be making schedule predictions for every single Power 5 team in college football for this upcoming season, and I will also do a subsequent conference standings video once I finish every single team in a specific conference, just as a synopsis of all of my schedule predictions. Those synopsis videos will be coming later on into August as we get closer to the start of the season. We're almost there now. I'm working through the Big Ten now. That's my last conference I've got left. So let's go ahead and get into the Indiana schedule predictions. So some quick thoughts on the Indiana program as a whole heading into 2022. And this is a program coming off of an atrocious season last year where they finished 2-10 despite having some decently high expectations, partially due to some unfortunate injuries that fell their way and some other external factors. But there's no denying that regardless of the uncontrollable factors they had, 2-10 is an unacceptable record for a team of this caliber and a program of this caliber. Now this year should see improvements, but the team was also absolutely gutted in the transfer portal, and the Big Ten is likely to be just as good, if not better, than it was last year. The out-of-conference schedule is also no slouch here for Indiana, and all that makes for an interesting year full of potential and unknowns that could end up in a team making a bowl, or it could end up in another huge disappointment of the season. Regardless, though, the schedule is absolutely brutal, so while I do think the team will be better, getting to a bowl game should be seen as a massive win here, and it is possible, but that is no easy task for them. So let's go ahead and talk about some opponents who just don't have much of a chance to beat Indiana. Barring some level of catastrophe, there's only one of those teams for them, and it is Idaho. Idaho is one of your worst teams you're going to be able to play up against. So if you can't get by Idaho, I don't know what to tell you for the rest of your season. So the first game we are going to talk about comes in Week 1 on a Friday against Illinois. They get Illinois at home, and this is a really important game for both programs. I think both programs are in around the same range, honestly, as to where they are right now. And both of them are going to need this win equally as much. Now, Illinois plays against Wyoming in Week 0, so they get a warm-up game heading into this one as well, which I think can be really beneficial for them heading in here. That they can knock off some of that rust and first-game jitters. And I don't know. I think the teams are really, really evenly matched, and it really could end up going either way. Indiana does get them at home, which is an advantage there, but I think Illinois is going to find a way to get a win here in Week 1 and deliver Indiana a tough loss there to start the season, but certainly a winnable game for Indiana and one that they're really going to want to win if they want to push for that bowl game appearance. Week 2 is the Idaho game, as we discussed, and then Week 3 they play Western Kentucky, and this is one that some people may expect to be similar to the Idaho game. It's just an easy game that you don't need to discuss, but really it isn't. Western Kentucky has frequently fielded very good teams. They're a very good G5 team, and they're not somebody to be taken lightly. They often have a very high-powered offense, and they produced an NFL quarterback out of this last year. So definitely not a team to overlook or take for granted. Now, Indiana is better than them. They have more talent, and they should be able to get a win here. Again, this is one of those games where if they can't get a win here, they're going to really struggle for this season. So I'm going to go with Indiana to win there at home, but not an easy game. Definitely no slouch and one to keep an eye on. Then they follow that up with at Cincinnati in the out-of-conference, and that's a very tough out-of-conference game. That's as tough as a G5 out-of-conference can really be. Cincinnati was a playoff team last year. I don't think they're going to be that same level of team this year. They lost a lot of talent and guys like Sauce Gardner, Desmond Ritter, etc. So I don't think they're going to be that same level, but they're going to be very good and probably better than Indiana, honestly. And Cincinnati's at home. I'm going to go with Cincinnati to win there. A winnable game for Indiana, but one that they're probably going to be a decent underdog in as well. Follow that up by going on the road at Nebraska, and this is another one of those games similar to Illinois where two struggling programs at this point that are both in similar situations that both are really going to need this win. It's on the road there for Indiana, so it's a tough one. But I'm confident that they're going to be able to find a few upset kind of wins, if you will. This one's not a huge upset to me, maybe a minor one. But I think they're going to find a way to get a few wins here in some games that aren't going to be obvious wins for them. So I'm going to go with them to get a win there on the road against Nebraska. It'll be huge for them if they can, and it will be really important in carrying them going forward. Then, though, they host Michigan, and that's one where I just don't see them having much of a shot in. Michigan, defending Big Ten champs, and while they're probably going to take a slight step back this year, they're still going to be much better than Indiana. Indiana doesn't have the players really to run with Michigan, assuming they don't pull off some sort of crazy unforeseen upset. So even though they're at home, they're going to go with Michigan in that one. Then they host Maryland, and this is one, again, similar to the Nebraska game, two decently similar, level programs in my opinion at this point. Both of them are going to really need this win for their season. But honestly, as close as this game may be, I think it may come down, honestly, just to the home field advantage there for Indiana. I think Maryland may be a slightly more exciting team to watch. They definitely have some more, elite level talent, but as an overall roster, I think they're about as even as you can get. So I'm going to go with Indiana there. I think this is another one where they just find a way to get a win in a tough matchup. Definitely a losable game, but I'm going to go with them to get the win there. And then they go on the road at Rutgers, and Rutgers is not the same Rutgers that you may think they are. They're not the same Rutgers of old that could be chalked up as an easy win. Greg Schiano has Rutgers in a really, really good position right now, and they are no slouch. They're not a team to take lightly. So you're playing them on the road too. That's kind of a tough trip. Another one of those games, similar to Maryland and Nebraska and Illinois, that is a swing game in my opinion, could really go either way. And is one to keep an eye on. I'm going to go with Rutgers to get the win there at home just because I really like the direction of the program with Schiano there. But a game that Indiana certainly has a good chance to win, and they should really, 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 if they're going to try to make a bowl game, that's got to be one they're going to be able to get. Then they get a really nice bye week, but they go and they play Penn State at home after that. And now Penn State had a really down year last year. I think they're going to be much better than that this year. And they're going to be kind of back to form almost with James Franklin running the show there. And so with the bye week and all, maybe you could see Indiana make some magic and try to find an upset. I just don't see it. I think Penn State is better than them by a very wide margin. I'm going to go with Penn State to win there. And then you get probably the toughest game that you could draw, and that is at Ohio State. Maybe Indiana pulls something out of the hat there, but it seems really, really unlikely that they go on the road at Ohio State and find a way to get that win. I'm going to go with Ohio State to win pretty big there. And then they follow it up with another brutal game on the road at Michigan State, one of your other best teams in the conference, and I just don't see much of a way that they're going there and get that win either. And it's a brutal stretch of games there. I mean, you get the bye week, which is nice, but then you go Penn State, at Ohio State, at Michigan State, 3 in a row. Really tough. Going to go with Michigan State to win that one. And then they round out the year at home with Purdue, and that is one they really could win. I think Purdue's in a better spot than them. I think I like Purdue better than them as a roster from this point, but it's much closer than the Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan State kind of games are, and it's one that they really are going to need to be able to get a win, like I said, if they want to try to get to bowl eligibility. I think of it similar to the Maryland, the Rutgers, the Nebraska kind of games. I'm going to go with Purdue to win, mainly just because Indiana's coming off of 3 absolutely brutal games to end the season. I think they're going to be kind of beat up at this point. And I like Purdue a little bit better than them to begin with. So I'm going to go with Purdue to win there to round out the year. So that Indiana 4-8 on the year, which is a disappointing record in some ways, but it is technically an improvement over last year. They would be doubling last year's win total. But it's not a good way to look at this because last year was kind of an anomaly for them. And this team, they could fight into that 5 or 6 win range if things fall their way. That assumes that they handle their business and find some upsets. I mean, if they can win against against Illinois, if they can win against Maryland or in Rutgers and things like that, then yes, you can see them push to the 6 win range. But they could also just as easily lose to Nebraska. I've already got them beating Maryland. That's another one that they could very easily lose. So they could even really lose to Western Kentucky. And so it's a really difficult schedule for them. A lot of games that are very losable. None of them other than maybe Idaho that you can see is just clear and obvious wins for them. So again, they could push for that bowl game. I think the Rutgers, Illinois, Purdue games are kind of those swing games that could get them to that bowl game if they win 2 out of those 3. But like I said, they could easily lose some of the other ones I have them winning. So I've got them at the 4-win spot. anything between 4 and 6 seems reasonable to me. I just don't see them upsetting an Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, Michigan State. I don't see them beating any of those 4 teams in conference. I don't see them beating Cincinnati on the road out of conference either. I mean, they just have a really difficult schedule, and they just don't have the roster at this point put together to really yield a winning season against that, in my opinion. So despite them being, a good bit better than last year and probably being a better team than 4-8 would indicate, that's ultimately where I have them. Anyway, though, that'll do it for this one. Let me know down below in the comment section where you guys agree and or disagree with me on the Indiana schedule in 2022. Tell me what record you think they're going to have next year and who, if anybody, they're going to lose to. Also, if you made it this far into the video, be sure to leave a like. It does help out the channel tremendously. Lets me know you're enjoying this kind of content. And subscribe for more college football content in the future. I'm finishing up the Big Ten now. I have finished all the other Power 5 conferences, SEC, ACC, Big 12, Pac-12. All those are done, so check out the old stuff if you haven't. Be on the lookout for more Big Ten stuff coming your way in the future. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.